Well, because I'm here to support farmers.
Right. Are you angry?
It's difficult to be angry on somebody else's behalf. That's like being... Yes, no, I'm not angry on someone else's behalf.
Right. So it's not about you. It's not about your farm and the fact that you bought a farm to avoid inheritance tax.
Classic BBC there. Classic. Oh yeah. It's not the fact that I bought a farm to avoid inheritance tax. The fact.
You told the Sunday Times in 2021 that's why you bought it.
People.
Sorry?
BBC. Okay, let's start from the beginning.
Sure.
I wanted a shoot. Okay? That's even worse to the BBC. I wanted a shoot, which comes with the benefit of not having to pay inheritance tax. Now I do. But people like me will simply put it in a trust. And so long as I live for 7 years, that's fine. And as my daughter said, you will live for 7 years. You might be in a deep freeze at the end of it, but you will live for 7 years. But it's incredibly time-consuming to have to do that. And why should all these people have to do that? Why should they?
Jeremy Clarkson, one of the United Kingdom's most prominent figures, shocked everyone with a fierce critique of Keir Starmer during a live television broadcast. Amid a period of great unrest in the country, Clarkson raised issues that highlight how politicians seem increasingly out of touch with the real concerns of the public. One of the key topics he addressed was a petition demanding immediate general elections, which has garnered millions of signatures. With the nation on the brink of crisis, facing both social and economic tensions, the question arises, is it time for a change in leadership? Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Your support helps us a lot. Let's begin. Jeremy Clarkson, renowned for his direct and controversial style, did not hold back in expressing his criticism of Keir Starmer during a primetime interview. Speaking in a cutting tone, he described the Labour leader's policies as disconnected from reality, particularly highlighting rural communities that he claimed had been abandoned by recent political decisions. In parallel with Clarkson's statements, the citizen petition demanding early general elections continues to gain momentum. Created in response to growing dissatisfaction with the current political leadership, this initiative has amassed over 2.7 million signatures, making it one of the most significant digital mobilizations in the UK in recent years. The petition's creator, an anonymous activist identified only as Citizen X, explained in a recent interview, "This is not a partisan movement, it's a call for democracy. We believe the current government, whether Conservative or Labour, does not represent the interests of the majority." The petition reflects a sentiment shared by a large portion of the population, the perception that politicians have lost touch with the real needs of citizens. Moreover, the lack of media coverage surrounding this mobilization has drawn criticism of major news outlets, accused of downplaying the importance of this public demand. Clarkson's connection to Britain's agricultural sector goes beyond his television program and opinion columns, deeply intertwining with the challenges farmers face due to recent government policies. Since taking over the running of Diddley Squat Farm, Clarkson has used his visibility to shed light on issues affecting both small and large-scale farmers. Against this backdrop, new agricultural policies have exacerbated the difficulties for those striving to keep their land and operations sustainable. One of the most contentious policies, inheritance tax on high-value agricultural estates, has been a recurring topic in episodes of Clarkson's Farm and public debates. While designed to raise fiscal revenue, this tax has forced many farmers to sell family lands or take on unsustainable debts. Clarkson, who has personally encountered bureaucratic hurdles when trying to diversify his farm, has pointed out that such policies not only place a financial strain on farmers, but also erode the culture and identity of rural communities. A significant concern highlighted by Clarkson and other critics is the disconnect between policymakers and the realities of rural life. This gap is evident in regulations that, while aiming for goals such as environmental sustainability, impose unfeasible restrictions without offering practical or financial support. For example, Clarkson documented how a seemingly simple endeavor to open a farm shop selling local produce turned into a bureaucratic ordeal, illustrating how government policies complicate rather than support agricultural life. The insufficient provision of subsidies is another point of contention shared by Clarkson and the farming community. In an environment where production costs are continually rising, government aid has proved inadequate to meet basic needs such as modernizing equipment or adopting more resilient agricultural practices. Clarkson has used his platform to criticize this imbalance, arguing that structured support could help farmers compete in global markets and adapt to climate change challenges. Clarkson's farm has also illustrated how agricultural policies affect not only individual farmers, but also the broader rural economy. Several episodes depict how financial struggles within the farming community have knock-on effects on local businesses and the social fabric of rural areas. This approach has helped humanize statistics, connecting viewers with the personal stories behind the numbers. In addition, Clarkson has drawn attention to the risks these policies pose to the UK's food security. In interviews and opinion pieces, he has warned that the country's growing reliance on food imports could have disastrous long-term consequences. According to Clarkson, unless the government begins prioritizing self-sufficiency in food production, future generations could face a crisis that could have been averted through more strategic decisions. Despite criticism of Clarkson for his blunt style and lack of technical expertise, his ability to bring these issues to a wide audience has been invaluable. Figures like him, while polarizing, have managed to place the struggles of farmers at the forefront of public debate, raising awareness and, in some cases, applying pressure for political change. Jeremy Clarkson, better known for his career in motoring entertainment, has emerged as an unexpected advocate for British farmers. Through Clarkson's Farm, his Amazon Prime series, he has spotlighted the challenges facing the agricultural sector, from bureaucratic complications to inadequate government support. His ability to present complex issues in a straightforward and accessible way has resonated with a diverse audience, including both urban and rural viewers. Clarkson has used his media reach to criticize policies that he argues harm small farmers while favoring large corporations. He has also sparked discussions on sustainability, calling for a balance between food production and environmental protection. While his provocative style has attracted criticism, his impact in amplifying these concerns is undeniable. Beyond his television program, Clarkson collaborates with agricultural organizations and uses his national newspaper column to advocate for reforms, highlighting the disconnect between government policies and rural realities. His approach, though divisive, has succeeded in raising awareness among a broad audience, bringing the struggles of the agricultural sector into national conversations and questioning the fragility of the UK's farming system. Clarkson does not present himself as an expert, but as a bridge between farmers and a society that in many cases is unaware of their challenges. His ability to combine entertainment with activism has solidified his role as an influential voice for rural communities. Dissatisfaction among British citizens has been escalating rapidly, spreading beyond farmers to affect various sectors of society. While discontent in rural communities has been widely highlighted, urban and suburban unrest reflects a far broader issue. Factors such as rising living costs, stagnant wages, and unfulfilled electoral promises have fueled a climate of social tension with no clear resolution in sight. One of the main grievances among urban residents centers on the continuous rise in taxes, particularly in a context where many feel the government is not managing resources effectively. Public spending in areas such as infrastructure, education, and healthcare does not seem to reflect the financial sacrifices made by taxpayers, leading to widespread frustration and a sense of neglect. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Your support helps us a lot. Let's continue. In the workplace, citizens face constant challenges due to job precariousness. Sectors such as healthcare and public transport have experienced a rise in strikes and protests as workers demand better pay and working conditions. While some members of the public support these strikes, they have also caused additional tensions by disrupting access to essential services. Keir Starmer, in particular, has faced harsh criticism during these demonstrations, with attendees accusing him of being out of touch with the people's needs. Protesters carry signs bearing slogans like "Starmer doesn't listen to us" and "Policies for the rich, neglect for the rest." The narrative of political disconnection is also reflected in the growing perception that political elites, regardless of party affiliation, fail to understand the daily struggles of the average citizen. This perception has fueled increasing skepticism towards traditional parties and sparked interest in more radical or populist political alternatives. In this context, Jeremy Clarkson's call for a shift in government policies has resonated with a far broader audience than initially expected. His direct approach and ability to articulate collective frustrations have made him an unlikely symbol of public discontent, even among those not directly connected to agriculture. Social discontent is also affecting the country's economic outlook. Experts warn that political uncertainty and a lack of clear direction are discouraging foreign investment, which could have long-term consequences for the UK's economic growth and stability. Keir Starmer has faced a barrage of criticism from both his political opponents and members of his own party, who question his ability to lead the Labour Party during a time of crisis. The critiques primarily center on two areas: his perceived lack of a coherent political vision and his disconnection from the electorate's needs. Since taking leadership of the Labour Party, Starmer has attempted to reposition it as a moderate and pragmatic alternative to the Conservative government. However, many view this approach as ambiguous and lacking direction. While his speeches are often well crafted, they frequently lack concrete proposals, frustrating voters who expected bolder, more transformative leadership. One of Starmer's most unpopular decisions has been his support for certain fiscal measures that have been criticized as detrimental to the working class. These include increases in local taxes and a lack of strong opposition to government policies perceived as regressive. As a result, some have begun questioning whether Labour, under his leadership, still genuinely champions the interests of the working and marginalized classes. Tensions within the party have also been rising. Prominent figures from the left wing of the party have accused Starmer of betraying Labour's core values by adopting a more centrist stance. These internal divisions have weakened the party's ability to present a united front, raising doubts about its viability as a governing alternative. Starmer has also been criticized for his handling of public relations. Despite having experienced advisors, he has made several missteps that have undermined his credibility. A notable example was his delayed response to criticism from public figures like Jeremy Clarkson. Rather than directly addressing the concerns raised, Starmer chose to downplay the importance of these statements, which many interpreted as arrogance or a sign of being out of touch. More broadly, critics argue that Starmer has failed to capitalize on widespread public discontent with the Conservative government. Despite the multiple crises facing the ruling party, polls indicate that Labour has not managed to build a significant lead, suggesting that voters remain unconvinced that Starmer is a viable alternative. The pressure on Keir Starmer and the Labour Party shows no signs of easing. With a general election on the horizon, the party faces a crucial moment that could determine not only its immediate future, but also its long-term relevance in British politics. The main question facing Labour is whether it can regain the trust of the working class base that has historically been its backbone. Internal divisions and the perception that the party has lost touch with its roots have led to significant erosion of its support in traditionally Labour strongholds. For some analysts, the key to the party's resurgence lies in developing a clear and ambitious political platform that addresses systemic issues such as economic inequality and the cost of living crisis. However, achieving this will require strong leadership and the ability to unite the party's divergent factions. In today's political climate, Labour also faces competition from smaller parties and independent movements that are gaining traction by channeling public discontent. This adds an extra layer of complexity, as the party will need to find ways to differentiate itself and reaffirm its position as the primary alternative to the Conservative government. Jeremy Clarkson, social discontent, political divisions, and demands for change have converged at a critical moment for the United Kingdom. Attention is focused not only on public figures like Clarkson, who have highlighted these issues, but also on political leaders like Keir Starmer, who face the challenge of responding to these demands in an increasingly polarized landscape. Without substantial change in the country's political direction, public dissatisfaction is likely to continue growing, driven by a citizenry demanding real solutions to systemic problems. Do you think Starmer and the Labour Party can rise to this challenge? If you like this video and want to see more content on important issues, subscribe to the channel and give it a like. Your support helps us continue creating content. Thanks for being with us, and don't forget to share this video. See you next time.